be ready and be available to what he's saying to you today. We are starting a brand new series called Looking to Jesus, and I'm super excited about this opportunity to kind of just really get our focus set. The intention of this series, my hope is that our focus and attention would be on Jesus. For this reason, what do you have for my life? You ever ask that question? Lord, what do you have for my life? God, what's your will? You ever been frustrated and been like, God, what do you want with me? You ever been there? No? I've been there before. I'm the only one. Okay, thanks. I'm not alone. It's like, what am I here for? What are you doing? Trying to figure out, God, what do you want with me? And a lot of times discovering what he wants for us isn't a big spark or a big lightning flash or a big thunder. It's a bunch of small things by faith, recognizing that's God, that's him, that's him, that's him. That's where he's at. That's where he's moving me. That's what he's saying. That's where he's prodding me. And really that comes from setting my focus and attention on him and what he's saying to me, which leads me to living out the life that he's called me to live. And so it's this whole idea of looking to him to lay a hold of what he has. And let me just say something. Jesus has a meaning for your life, and it is good. And I want to help you get it. I want to help you see it, and I want to help you find confidence in that meaning. But it's going to take focus. It's going to take looking to him. Let me just say it like this. The direction and outcome of most people's life has to do with your intention. The direction and the outcome of most people's life. Let me just say, if you haven't had a crazy tragedy take place in your life, then where you are today has been because of your intentions. Isn't that an interesting thought? Where you find yourself today has to do with intentions. It's the intention of your life that has gotten you where you are today. That's a serious situation to look at and understand, that my intentions get me where I'm at today. Let's just look at it like this. Intention is the driving force behind accomplishing what you want. How many of you know this? It really is. Intention is that driving force. It's that passion. It's that strength or that energy to accomplishing what you want. The things in your life that haven't been accomplished is because there wasn't a strong enough intention behind it to do it. Right? Like when January comes around, we all have those, what are those things called? What? Yeah, resolutions. That's right. Thank you. Those New Year's resolutions that last 2 weeks. Because there's not intention. There's not enough intention behind it. There's just a cool idea around it. And so I'm gonna pose a question to you, and I want you to be really, really honest with me this morning. Just be honest this morning. I mean, we are Christians. If you're not a Christian here, you don't have to be honest. But if you're a Christian in here this morning, be honest with me. How many of you would be willing to go on a 15-day fast with me, nothing but water for 15 days? Who would go there with me? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. All right, we're gonna start that next Monday, and I want you guys to just kidding. Okay. How many of you in here would go on a 15-day fast with me? No food, just water for $10,000. Be honest. Okay, we got a few. Someone's like, that pay the bill right there. Yep, that's that new car I'm looking for. What just happened? Intention. Okay, now we got something. Now there's a reason. Now there's something I can link onto. Now there's something that gives me some purpose to go, I'm with you. I'm all in. It's crazy to me that the one thing that gets us what we're looking for is the intention. It's that driving force. It's that fire underneath that goes, man, I'll do this without stopping no matter what. We find this stuff all over our life, and if we don't understand to hone in on intentions, then we find ourselves with feeble attempts at life. Let me just tell you something interesting about intention. It lines up with motives. And a lot of times when we feel like we're hitting the wall and trying to get God to help us with breakthrough or trying to get God to show up and help us through something, and it feels like it's not happening, it's a lot of times has to do with the intention. Or Proverbs would call it the motive. Because we choose our way, but God's always weighing the motive. Why are you doing what you're doing? Isn't it kind of funny that we can, on the outside, look really, really good and innocent, but on the inside, the motive's gross. Like, it's just, shouldn't be doing it. And that's what God weighs. And so a lot of times when we're hoping God will break down the wall or get us where we're trying to go, he's weighing the intention. Why are you doing this? What's the purpose? And so a lot of times, rather than asking our lives, like, what should I do? We should ask, why am I doing it? Because a why will get you to a what a lot faster than just a what, if you know what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Because it makes sense in my brain. I hope I'm clarifying that correctly. It's kind of like losing weight. Like, do I want to lose 15 pounds so that I look good at the lake? We don't say the beach here in South Dakota, so I look good at the lake. That's really funny. Or am I trying to be healthy? Do I want to be around for my grandkids? Do I want to be around to leave a legacy and leave a mark? Like, what's the intention? If the intention's weak, then so are the actions, so are the things that we're chasing. And I want to just talk around this today because I think it'll help us. Let me just say it to you like this. The things in your life that you tolerate are what's going to show up in your life consistently. It has to do with intention. And honestly, I heard this week and it kind of hit me upside the head. Actually, the things in your life that you tolerate are who you really are. Isn't that interesting? The things that we tolerate around our life, that's an example of who we really are. Because we're allowing it to remain. We're allowing it to still be there and fester or whatever. And it's a sign of, man, I'm not just tolerating that. It's a sign of who I really am as a person, which means if I want to change it, then I've got to get some fire underneath me, some intention of why it needs to be changed. And so here's the reality today. The trajectory of your life is shaped by your actions, not your aspirations. How many of you know this? The direction of your life, where your life really ends up, comes out of actions. What I actually do, not my aspirations. And we try so hard to live off aspirations, like these great ideas and these things that we just create up in the clouds that it's going to be this way and I hope it goes this way. But the real driving force of where my life ends up has to do with the actions that I take and the things that actually get on the ground and start happening. Not aspirations, your actions. And so your attention, where your attention is where your actions are going to be. Where you put your attention is what's going to create action in your life. The action that you have in your life is where your attention has been placed. And so what I'm trying to do this morning is help us refocus. Because where I put my attention is what's creating action in my life. Whether you like it or not, it's had your attention. And it's driven by some type of intention. And so your intentions create attention that actually create action. So I want to ask you a question this morning. What has your attention? What has your attention? What has caught your attention? What has caused you to stop and turn? What has caused you to put energy into something? What is it in your life today that you have put energy into, that you have put strength into, you've put love into, you've put yourself into it? What is it in life that has your attention? Because it really, really matters what has your attention. It matters where you're looking. It matters what you're giving your strength and energy to. And it really, really matters where your intentions are set, because that's creating action. I want to show you some men in the Bible. If you got a Bible with you today, go to Hebrews chapter 11. I want to show you some guys that had unwavering attention. And I love this. I call it the Hall of Fame of faith. All of Hebrews 11 is all about these phenomenal people that live by faith. And today what I'm going to do is link faith and attention together. That really, if you have faith, you give your attention to it. It's one thing to say, yeah, I have faith, and we just kind of do this little like thing that just kind of floats out there. Yeah, I have faith. It's a whole other thing to realize, no, my faith has to link up to action, which means it needs my attention. And this whole chapter is about people who their attention was given to God, and he calls it faith because they were actually doing it. They weren't just talking about it. And these are phenomenal accounts. We start in verse 29, Hebrews 11, verse 29. Anyone in here competitive? Yeah, I love, when you start hearing stuff like champions and winners, it's like, come on, somebody. I love that kind of stuff. I'm kind of bothered by how few of you raised your hand about being competitive. Is that like a politically correct term now? We're afraid that we can't say we're competitive anymore? No? Okay. Man, y'all need to get a little more, get some in you. All right. Anyway, verse 29, here we go. It was by faith that the people of Israel went through the Red Sea, though they were on dry ground. But when the Egyptians tried to follow, they were all drowned. That's really cool. That's God's deliverance. Verse 30, it was by faith that the people of Israel marched around Jericho for 7 days and all the walls came crashing down. Now, those were walls that you could ride a chariot on. Those walls were huge. Those walls came crashing down. Verse 32, how much more do I even need to say? It would take too long to recount the stories of the faith of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah and David and Samuel and all of these prophets. Because by faith, listen to this now, by faith, these people overthrew kingdoms. They ruled with justice and received what God had promised them. They shut the mouths of lions. They quenched flames of fire. They escaped death by the edge of the sword. Their weakness was turned into strength. How cool is that? This is God we're talking about. They became strong in battle and put whole armies to flight. Women received their loved ones back again from the dead. Like we're seeing the account of people who have given God their full out attention. And look what he's doing through them. This is some serious stuff. Look at the next verse. But others were tortured. This is martyrdom. Others were tortured. Listen to this. Refusing to turn from God to be set free. They were martyred. They were burnt at the stake. They were beat and whipped. A lot of them had their tongues cut out and their eyes plucked out. And they would refuse for them to stop. You want us to stop? No, keep going. They would refuse them to stop. Come on, bring it on. You're going to do it. Let's go. I mean, they were all in with their attention on God. Phenomenal account of people who served God. Refused to be let go. They placed their hope in a better life after the resurrection. They were focused on something way bigger than right now. Just this moment and temporary stuff. Verse 36, some were jeered at. We don't really use that language anymore, but that's like stabbed. They were jeered. Oh, I got jeered. Oh, man. They were jeered at. Their backs were cut open with whips, often chained in prison. Some died by stoning. Some were sawed in half. Others were killed with the sword. Some went about wearing skins of sheep and goats, destitute, oppressed, and mistreated. I love this line. They were too good for this world. Some translations say this world couldn't offer them anything. Why? Because they didn't want it. They had their attention on God. Their attention was so focused on God, nothing could shake them. This world wasn't worthy of them because they were so in love with God. Wandering over deserts and mountains, hiding in caves and holes in the ground. All of these people earned a good reputation because of their faith or their attention on God. And yet, listen to this, yet none of them received what God had fully promised. So they do all of this. They go all the way in. They give their lives fully. They're dying at the stake. They're overturning kingdoms. They're shutting the mouths of lions. They're escaping from the sword. Phenomenal things that they're doing in the earth because their focus is on God. Yet they didn't receive the full promise. Here's why. Because God had something better in mind for us. That they wouldn't reach perfection without us. And so they gave their attention and they gave their lives to God and did these phenomenal things in the earth, yet they're not done. It's almost like they're stuck in this holding tank waiting for us. These phenomenal people of faith, and they're in the waiting for us to finish. So their race, their job, what they did isn't complete until we're done, which is a phenomenal thing, which tells me this. They have their attention now on us. They had their full attention on God. Let me just ask you a question, because this is where I get a little competitive. How does your life match up to what we just read? Isn't that an interesting thought? Like, that makes me really nervous. I'm going to stand next to guys that tore down lions and conquered nations and overturned nations and escaped from the sword. And drinking my Starbucks in my cute coat. Jesus was awesome. No, I need to get to work. There's gonna be something in my life. I'm competing with that. I'm doing something with my life because I'm standing in the midst of these people right here who fully put their attention on God. And when you do, there's no impossibilities with him, what he can accomplish and do through you. These are the people that have gone before us. And does our life match up? Does it matter if our life even matches up? Well, let's look. I want to go to the next chapter. Because let me just say it to you like this. Whatever has your attention today is what they're watching you chase. Whatever has your attention right now is what they are watching you do. That's a big deal. Look at the next chapter tells us this. Chapter 12, verse 1. Starts with therefore. What do we say around here? Anytime you see a therefore in your scriptures, figure out what it's there for. You know what it's there for? It's there for because he just got done telling us about all these phenomenal people of faith that lived it to an extreme with their attention on God. So because of all of that we just heard about, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses, who's that? The people we just read about. Since we're surrounded by them to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. I want you to get this today. The race that God has set before you. There's a race for you that he's expecting you to run. It's your life. It's your purpose. It's why you're on the planet. Since all of these people are watching us run this race, throw off everything that would hinder you, any weight, anything that's tripping up your feet, and run this race with endurance, the race that God has marked out for you. And then look what he says. He tells us how to do it. Verse 2, we do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus. You got this race, you got to run it, and you got a ton of people watching you, cheering you on, who gave their lives to the extreme because their attention was fully on God, watching you run. Therefore, run it. Run your race. And here's how we do it. We keep our eyes on Jesus. That's how I run it. That's how I do it. I love this. The champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Anyone in here ever done a sport or some type of competition and you found a champion to follow? You look to a champion to learn from? You found the champion of that thing to go, that's where I'm going to learn from. That's who I'm going to listen to. That's who I'm going to watch on YouTube to figure out what they're doing, right? You find the champion. Jesus is the champion of our faith. And so I look to him. That's why I put my eyes on him, because I want to know how he did it. I want to know what he did. I want to know why he was doing it and how he did it. That's why I look to him, because he accomplished it full on. He's the champion of our faith. So I got to fix my eyes on him. So here's what I want you to know today. What's your intention for living? What's the spark? What's your driving force? What's your reason? Because there's a group of people who fully gave their intention and attention to God, did phenomenal things, and now they're turned and watching us. Their attention's on us to finish this thing up, to give it our all, to do this, to run our race marked out for us, so they can cheer us on. Their attention's on us. That should be our intention. And so it tells us how to do it, keeping our eyes on Jesus. Well, we just read that kind of like, oh, cute, I'm going to put that on the fridge. Oh, right? That's adorable. But when you look this up and like, what's this really mean? What's the definition? What's the root of this? The root of this little phrase, keep your eyes on Jesus, means to totally look away from anything and everything to focus on one. Like it is an extreme statement where I would remove on purpose all distractions because I'm fixing, that's the word, I'm fixing my eyes on one thing. Have any of you ever focused on anything like that in life? Some of you probably have. Like, I'm looking at this has all of my attention. I'm removing all distractions because this is going to have all of my attention. That's what this means. Fix your eyes on him. Remove all distractions and fix your eyes on him. So let me ask you this. How much attention is your God-given race getting? I think that's a thought and a question we need to ask constantly. How much attention is my God-given race getting in my life? How much attention do I give to it? And the answer is, if you're running it, if you're on it, if you're going that direction, is it getting my attention? Am I running this race that he's marked out for me? Really, how much of my attention does it get? It's a serious question. See, you'll never accomplish something that doesn't have your attention. And a lot of times we're wanting God to do something, like, show me something, give me something, help me with something. And we're not going to see it because our attention's not there. You'll see plenty of God, and you'll see enough of God when it has your attention. When your attention's on that race, you'll see God all over the place. But when we're not looking at it and not giving it our attention, we're actually distracted, but crying out for God to do something in line with our race, we won't see it because we have to be lined up for the race. The best goal is, God, show me why I'm here. Show me why I'm on the earth. And he'll begin to show you little steps that you take out in front of you. Every day, it's a choice. I'm going to give it my attention. I'm going to run that race. I'm going to give it my attention. And so I want to just show you a few things, and we'll be done here today, on how we do this. How do we run this? How do we give our attention to this thing? See, the intention of your attention is a crowd of witnesses. Let me just say that right off the bat. What's my intention for doing this? Why would I run it? There's so many other exciting things to do in the world. Let the intention be that you have a whole crowd of witnesses watching you run. That's huge. Some of you might not be able to wrap your brain around that yet. You're like, that's a little too up in the clouds for me. That's okay. Just say, God, reveal it to me. Help me see it. Help me see it. Let it be the intention that, man, I'm not alone in this thing. This life's not all about me. And these people that were martyred at the stake, I actually complete what they did. Like, I'm a completion to that life given. I'm a completion to the history and the legacy and the people that went all out for God. I'm a completion to that. I'm like the last string coming through the finish line. I complete that race. That's a big deal. That's enough intention. That fires me up. That gets me, I don't know if you've ever seen 5-2 on fire, but it's hot. I'm fired up by that. That's phenomenal to think we complete that. All right, let's look at this. Hebrews chapter 12. Let's go down a little bit, verses 2 and 3. I just want to show you a few things that help give you direction and attention so that we can keep our focus on Jesus. And every one of us can run that race that he's marked out for our life, because there's nothing like it. There's no life living like the one you're called to live, and that's the race that God's put you on. How do we do it? Well, chapter 12, verse 2 and 3 says this: because of the joy awaiting him, this is talking about Jesus, he endured the cross, discarding its shame, and now he's seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. Think of all the hostility he endured from sinful people, then you won't become weary and give up. He suffered. He went through it. Think about, you're dying for the people that are crucifying you. Man, that's intention. Like, all of the sinful people that came against him, he just persevered through. So that it says, think about that so you don't grow weary when it gets hard. Let that be part of your attention. Man, Jesus persevered. Jesus had to persevere through this. Jesus gave his life for people who were killing him. Man, I ain't even close to that, so that I don't become weary. But here's what I really like about this. The joy awaiting him in the cross. You think, how is there any joy in that? Because of the joy that was awaiting him, he endured the cross. As I was looking at this week, I thought, you know why there was joy awaiting him in the cross? Because he was looking at you. That's why. Because what it looked like to everyone else was him going to a wooden cross and being beaten. But what he was looking at was us, our salvation. His attention was on us. And he was able to see past the beating to the joy that there's going to be people saved forever. There's going to be people with God forever because about what his attention was on us, so that our attention could in turn be back on him because of what he did. Let us put our attention on him because he put it on us first, so that we could even be with him, so that we could be there. How awesome is that? He did it so we'd have a race to run and that we could run it on purpose. And so don't give up. Don't give up running your God-given race. It's the most important thing you'll do with your life. Look at verse 12 and 17. This is going to talk to you in here. Some of you in this room today. This is going to be an action for you. So take a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees. Take a new grip. Take a new grip. Like level up, get up, let's go, grab on. Stop doing it so lightly. Stop just giving this half thing to Jesus. Like, if you help me, I get. No, get a new grip. Grab onto this thing. You know, the scripture says if you grab the plow and look back, you're not fit for the kingdom. Like, it takes so much intention to serve God. It's going to take so much of you to say, God, I'm one of yours, which means I grab that plow and I am not looking back. My attention is full on towards you, Lord. Grab a new grip, grab onto this thing. Give him all of your focus. It's what it's going to take. And then strengthen your feeble knees. Get your feet under you and do this thing on purpose. Get your attention set. Grab a new grip, strengthen your weak knees. Look at this. I feel like so few people do this. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Like, live on purpose. Mark it out. It's phenomenal to me how many people just kind of like, wonder where life's going to take me. Wonder where it's going to take. No, I'm going this way. This is what I'm doing with my life, on purpose. Mark it out. Mark out a straight path for your feet, so that those who are weak and lame won't fall, but become strong. You know what that's saying? You'll have influence on those around you. When you mark out a straight path for your feet, you'll encounter people who are just about ready to give up. And it'll bring strength. They won't end up falling and breaking because you show up in their path and help them become strong. There's purpose on this race that God has set. Verse 14, work at living in peace with everyone. Yes, everyone. Yes, everyone. And work at living a holy life, set apart. God, I'm all yours. Here's a huge scripture, because those who are not holy won't see the Lord. Well, our whole series is about looking at Jesus. But if I don't set my life apart to him, I'll never even see him. I'll look for him everywhere and not see him. But if I'll set apart and go, God, I'm yours, would you fill me? I'll start to see him. I'll see the Lord. I'll see him in relationships. I'll see him in my business. I'll see him in my life. I'll see him in my heart. I'll see him in my plans, because I've set my life apart. I see him all over the place now. It's like God is on the move. But if I don't ever set apart, I don't see him. It's like he's invisible. Those who don't live a holy life won't even see him. That's really hard to serve him. Verse 15, look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. That's the strength of God. Help one another. No, you got this. You can make it. Now watch this. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you. Notice this. Trouble you, corrupting many. Watch out. Hey, whoa, watch out. You ever had to do that before? Whoa, watch out. Oh. Isn't it funny how your best friends laugh at you the most? Like, oh. Watch out. This is a serious deal. Watch out. That a poisonous bitter root of bitterness doesn't grow up, corrupting, hurting you and corrupting many. I would say this thing right here takes more people off the God-given race than anything else. They're sitting on the sidelines, bitter, troubling themselves, corrupting many from running their race, while there's a cloud of witnesses watching us run. Watch out for this thing. Watch out for this root of bitterness. If you could find any way to live unoffendable, I would say do it. If you could find a way to just let stuff, whatever. Here's one way to do it. Lower your expectations of people and higher your expectations of God. That's a really good way. When you're like, I can't believe they would do that. It doesn't surprise me they did that. That's a great way to switch that. Like you're a complete idiot and it doesn't surprise me at all. It's a great way to do that. You want to know why? Because you'll have a lot more peace. Lower your expectations of people and higher them of God. Because people are just going to be really dumb. And they're going to say really stupid stuff in hurtful moments. You want to know why that's important? Because I am not going to let that root take place. Because it'll take you off that track that fast. Watch out! That's an action. That's an action. And here's a big one, verse 16. Make sure that no one is immoral or godless like Esau. Now we go all the way back to the Old Testament. Some of you might be like who? Who saw? Who saw what? No, Esau, look at this, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal. And you know that afterward, when he wanted his father's blessing, he was rejected. And it was too late for repentance, even though he begged for it with tears. Here's what this is saying in our vernacular today. Why would this even make it into the New Testament? Why would he bring Esau all the way into the New Testament? If we drop it into our day and how this would correlate with our lives, don't let your flesh destroy your salvation. That's what this is. Esau traded his salvation for a momentary fleshly desire. I'm so hungry. Please just give me that bowl of soup. Give me your birthright. Okay. He literally let his flesh lead his life into destruction. And there was no way to turn around. And this warning is that I would get my eyes off of Jesus and my flesh would begin to drive my life into places I was never called to be. And the result would be the fact that I would lose my very salvation because my flesh has driven me into fleshly pursuits. That is an intense action right there. A huge warning. Don't let your flesh lead you off this race. Crucify that thing because your life is too important. And last but not least, Proverbs chapter 4. We're going to see one more thing here on how to do this. These are actions. These are things that get our actions because our actions are going to lead our life. Our actions are going to be the actual direction to where we go and where we end up. I want you to get this today. It's not your aspirations. It is your actions. And your actions come from where your attention is placed. One more scripture on how we do this. Proverbs chapter 4. I love this stuff. Verse 25. Look straight ahead. Did you guys know your Bible was so just, here you go. Look straight ahead. What is that? It's focus. It's on purpose. I'm living my life on purpose. Look straight ahead. Here's how you do it. And fix your eyes on what lies before you. Let me just tell you something. Jesus is always before you. He is a moving God. He is never behind you going, hey, come back here. Come back here to your pastor real quick. Let's look at, he is never back there. He's always forward. That's what you fix your eyes on. Look straight ahead. Fix your eyes on what lies before you because you'll see Jesus. And here we see it again. And mark out straight paths for your feet. Stay on the path. Don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. This is how I fix my eyes on Jesus. I just want to talk around this for a second. Mark out a straight path for your feet. I think we make this way harder than it is. Like, what does it mean to mark out a straight path? How do I even do that? What does that even mean? How does that come into my everyday living, in my everyday life? Mark out a straight path for my feet. Does that mean I have to know what I want to be? Like, I don't know. Am I going to be a fireman or a firefighter, a garbage man? Am I going to work at the Rapid City dump? I don't know. It's funny, everywhere Tate and I go, he wants to work there. So a couple weeks ago, he's like, I'm working at the dump, Dad. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty cool place, ain't it, bud? Yep, right? No, it doesn't mean I have to look 40 years down the road and know exactly what I'm going to do with my life. That's not marking out a straight path. Marking out a straight path for my feet means I'm going to live on purpose every day. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up before anyone else and I'm going to read my Bible today. Before anything else gets in my brain, I'm going to put the Word of God in my brain. Wow. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just pray for 10 minutes before I do anything else. I'm going to start my day on purpose. It's that simple, and it's that hard. You know what that is? It's marking out a straight path for your feet. I'm going to do a bunch of little stuff on purpose that I know leads me on a straight path. Does it lead you on a straight path? If it doesn't, don't do it. If it leads you to turn off a path that you know is good, that you know Jesus is at the end of, and you're going to end up over here, don't get sidetracked. Don't do it. No, I'm going to mark out purpose. I'm going to mark out all of these simple things in life that I know are going to lead me straight. That's how we win, church. That's how we win. That's called living offensively on purpose. I'm living to win. I'm not just living by accident. Can I tell you something? This is the race that Jesus has called you to run. It's the race he's calling you to run. We do it by putting our focus on him. So once again, where will you put your attention? That's my question for you today. Where are you going to put your attention? What has your attention? Where have you put it? Where are you going to put it? Because it will deliver your actions. Where you put your attention is going to deliver some actions. And that will ultimately be the direction of your life. It's amazing to me how much we're like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be that, and I'm going to try this. But all of our actions take us that way. Because your actions determine direction, not our aspirations. So put your attention in a place that will get you what you say you want. And let your intention, that fire inside of you, be to serve Jesus, to run this race, and to focus your life on him. Live a life of focus. Live a life of focus. Fix your eyes on him because he is the author and he is the champion of your faith. He knows what he's called you to do perfectly. You know what he does? He walks right out in front of you to lead you on that way. He's awesome. He's awesome. Some of you in here today might be looking for him. Some of you here today might feel like, man, I'm looking for him. I don't know where he went. I don't know where he went. I'll tell you something, he didn't go anywhere. We just get turned. We just get our attention on something else. And I want to give you an opportunity to come back to him today. I want to give you a chance to restore that relationship.